Hello, it's Soul with another video. WoW Classic. Hey, it's finally out in the wild. We made it, folks. It's been met with a really big response, a massive response, actually, from fans that are eager to return to the home that had left them so many years ago. There are a lot of people that I'm sure are having a terrific time, but there are a lot more people who are still waiting.
You think you do, but you don't.
Actually, not that. It was something else.
We want to reproduce the game experience that we all enjoyed from the original classic WoW, not the actual launch experience.
There we go. And yet, why are we seeing server queues in excess of like tens of thousands of players? We're going to discuss just how we got into this situation, what probably should have been done at the very beginning, and I guess what to expect in the future. I want to offer at least a little bit of reassurance for those of you who are watching this video while sitting in a queue, maybe watching someone else's stream, or hey, welcome to this video. It's gonna get better. I know it's bad, but things will eventually improve. I know that every moment not playing the game, it means more moments that your friends are passing you up. I know that a lot of you who had taken time off of work in order to play are extremely frustrated by what's going on, and I get it. So let's at least try to understand how it is that we got here, and maybe what we can do going forward. Shortly after WoW Classic's announcement came the introduction of this fangled technology called layering. What layering does is that it takes a typical realm, and let's pretend that a realm can typically hold 5,000 concurrent players, that is 5,000 players online at the same time, and it adds these artificial layers to it. Let's use the Whitemane realm as an example. It's a high pop realm, and keep in mind that I'm using very simple numbers and explanations. During Classic's launch, if let's say 15,000 people all tried cramming into Whitemane at the same time, then the realm is going to be filled with 5,000 people, and then the system is going to create 2 additional layers to accommodate those other 10,000 people. But what if there are 25,000 people that are trying to log into Whitemane? This is only a made-up value, but let's pretend that Whitemane can only create 2 additional layers on top of its normal capacity. So that means 10,000 people are going to be sitting in a queue while the other 15,000 people can play. That's basically the situation of what's going on these high population realms. There's simply way too many people trying to get onto these realms, despite each realm having multiple layers. So why do we need layers now when we did it before? That's a great question, I guess. So back in 2004, the World of Warcraft wasn't distributed digitally. There was only one way to get it, and that was to get a physical copy, and you would buy these at a store. Even back then, WoW's launch was very successful, but what that meant was everyone bought up all the copies of WoW. There literally just weren't enough boxes to meet the demand. Over the next several weeks, more boxes were made available, but that was subject to things like production, distribution, buying the thing, taking it home, installing it, making the account, and then finally logging on. So you could say that this was a controlled way of making sure that not too many people tried logging on at once, although back then, it wasn't even really a thought at the time. That sort of today's distribution model wasn't really on people's mind then. And of course, it's not like Vanilla's launch didn't have its share of issues. But the Classic launch today in 2019 is much different. At the moment of launch, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of players had the game installed, and they made characters in advance. Blizzard did not want to repeat history by having hundreds of realms to meet the demands of players through WoW's first couple of years. Their intent was only to have a few dozen realms to ensure that they're pretty lively, and then use layering to support or handle the number of visitors that they estimate are here to just check things out, and then check out when they're satisfied. But so, why doesn't Blizzard just add a bunch more layers so me and my friends can all play together? That is another great question. So, layering technology is designed to be a temporary solution to deal with what's going on now, which are these masses of people all trying to check out the game. In order for WoW Classic to deliver a genuine experience, eventually layering technology is gonna just go away. This is meant to end before Phase 2 of WoW Classic begins. This is to ensure that world content, which was a very big deal in the vanilla days, isn't cheapened by the likelihood of players being thrown on to different layers. When it comes to world bosses, like the Emerald Dragons that are supposed to come in Phase 2, only one instance of them per server should exist. Anything else, just like I said, it cheapens the experience. What's this going to mean in the case of Whitemane? Well, those 2 layers, they're gonna go away. So if Whitemane still has like 25,000 people trying to log in and layering is disabled, that's going to mean only 5,000 people are going to be able to play the game while 20,000 more people are trying to queue up. That's pretty crap.
Okay then, Soul, why not just increase the realm cap from 5,000 to 25,000?
Okay, well that is not so great of a question, because letting more people log on concurrently would totally disrupt the feel of what should be classic WoW. The original experience did not have 25,000 concurrent players hanging out in Orgrimmar and Ironforge and Hillsbrad Foothills. Like, imagine thousands of players fighting for resources or farming mobs all in the same zone, when when technology like dynamic mob scaling didn't quite work the way it did back then. It sums up to the experience being bottlenecked at every level of the game, and not just the beginning, where you probably are familiar with how you struggled getting out of the starting experience in Classic. And that's not what Blizzard wants.
Then Blizzard should have opened more realms earlier.
That is a fair critique. They have been doing that though. In their initial announcement, Classic was announced to have 13 realms available, at least over in the US region. Since then, or at least as of right now, that number has grown to 25, nearly double the original size. In fact, there might be more announced by the time you watch this video. So there are opportunities for those of you who are on these heavily impacted realms to make new characters on these newer realms. Personally, I don't think there needs to be too much thought put into this. Like, do I want to wait over 4 hours to get in? Or do I want to get in now?
Well, unlike you, I have friends I want to play with, and they're in the game already.
In that case, that's between you and your friends. If you want to play together, then you should all discuss what you want to do and consider re-rolling on one of those less populated realms. If you want to hold out and hope that others give in and move off of your realm, then that's totally fine. Just keep in mind that you're obviously not the only ones that have that in mind.
Oh, so Blizzard did nothing wrong, and it's all our fault for wanting to play on the realms we want.
I'm mostly glad that you asked that, because you're right. Blizzard messed up. Big time. Here's what I think should have happened before the launch. August 13th was the date when players could start logging in to reserve names on the realm of their choice. During this 1 week period, Blizzard did issue warnings and gave visual indicators as to which realms were going to be more impacted than others, so they did at least warn people. What they should have done was straight up lock realms at a certain point. Close them off, basically prevent new characters from being created on these impacted realms. So take Faralina for example. Faralina is the kind of designated server for streamers. What if one of the big streamers like Asmongold took a bit too long to create their character, and then all of a sudden, boom, they're just locked out, denied, you can't get in, bye-bye. He would be rightfully pissed off. There'd be like rage tweets and Twitch clips of him flipping out all over the place, but you know, after a while, after he picks himself back up, he'd just end up choosing a realm, and he'd call that home. People would follow him. That would probably be the end of the story. The problem that I have with the way Blizzard handled this situation was that they underestimated the stubbornness of people who want to be on certain realms. Like, hey, Faralina's the streamer server, let's all go there. I'm sure that's a lot of you had thought, but it appears that it didn't quite occur to the classic streaming community that maybe one realm isn't enough for them. What's going to happen down the road when layering is turned off? Blizzard tried to control population by rolling out more realms, as well as trying to give clear messaging, but it's just not enough to overcome the will of a motivated player. This is one of those few cases where I do support Blizzard using the invisible hand to tell these players, sorry, realm's full, it's too late to sign up, and just choose a different realm. Of course, walling off realms shouldn't be permanent either. This really only needed to be in place until Classic's launch. I have no doubt that there would still be very high queues for people wanting to log onto the realms of their choice, like Faralina. But before that, the population would have been spread out a lot more evenly. Like, hey, cool, if you wanted to so-called pre-order Classic WoW, great. You can hop onto the realm of your choice earlier than the rest of the people. But as for day one, that's when the realms really start opening up for everyone. Yeah, people are going to see a bunch of full realms, but at the same time, Blizzard would be opening up more realms, so you can consider that these new people that are joining up, they could all sign up for these new realms on day one. Something like that. The realms that are already heavily impacted, it's going to be a mess, especially Faralina, because in my opinion, that realm serves certain fandoms. At some point, one or more of the big players on those realms is going to have to leave and then take their fans with them for the sake of the realm being playable. Funny enough though, on the flip side, I do have small fears that Blizzard might have already overreacted to the demand for Classic WoW, but it's way too early to call for any panic. We can already see a pretty wide gap between the original realms that players decided on and the realms that Blizzard opened up over the past couple of days. It's going to be on Blizzard to very aggressively encourage players to move to these low pop realms, but I do not envy the position that Blizzard is in right now. As for everyone else who's sitting in queue still, I urge you to make a choice. It's still early enough that you can try convincing yourself, your friends, family, or guildmates to move to one of these more accessible realms. I've been reading around, listening to people and such, and I totally get that you might want to stay on a certain realm because you already made your decision. You like the name of your realm, your favorite streamer is there, or whatever the heck reason that you have. But a word of warning, folks, these queues are not just going to magically go away. Blizzard did fall short. They failed at managing this well, but you can only blame them for so much too when they're obviously trying to mitigate the damage. So that's all I've got to say about this. I just wanted to get it off my chest now. So thanks for listening. Consider supporting the channel by liking the video / audio and subscribing for more of this and all things Warcraft. I'll see you next time. Until then, stay safe, stay happy, and stay breezy.